Let's begin with politics. As an interest-driven game, mudslinging and personal attacks among political opponents are common. The camp of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, are engaged in verbal wars over presidential tickets for the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Mohammed fired the first shot when he said he's more qualified than Atiku, who hit back that the governor, who has no business in rubbing shoulders with him. Atiku and Mohammed were among the 17 presidential aspirants screened by committee of PDP in preparation for this month's primaries. Sam, it's getting interesting, and Atiku Abubakar say if you're on bail, the FCC case, you don't have any business contesting as the president.
Yes, absolutely. These are interesting times, and some of the rhetorics that we get to hear are not totally unexpected. Major frontrunners, are positioning to gain more visibility, and they believe that in doing so, they get public attention, and of course, win more followers to themselves. So it wasn't entirely, surprising to see the spokespersons and a big supporter of Atiku, going after each other. But I tell you, Ayo, politics is meant to be, a game of superior ideas, and I dare say that taking the issues, to the gutter level, as it were, is not what Nigerians are expecting at this time. We want politicians to trade in ideas. They should come to the table telling Nigerians what they have to offer, not the kind of mudslinging that we saw between Atiku's spokesperson, Senator. I mean, he is one of his major backers, Senator Zamiri, and the spokesperson of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, Mr. Udenta. So I think that we need to play less on rhetorics and deal more, on substance. That's what the electorates are looking out for.
Are you sure our electorates are looking out for?
Oh, absolutely. Between and I, we know what we want.
A fraction of the electorates, the bigger part.
I want to be
infrastructure. They want rice. They want gari. They want things that's instant.
Nigerians are not asking for too much. I want to believe that the average Nigerian out there knows what he wants. We're basically looking out for good governance, shelter, good health, all right, and the likes that come with dividends of democracy. So I don't think a Nigerian wants to live, in a way that reduces him below the level of humanity. So we know what we want, and Nigerians will continue to demand the best from their leaders. So we expect that those who are in contention for top positions in this country need to do what is right. They need to play. There's so much tension in the land, and we need to do what is right. Let's not heat up the polity, in our bid to grab power. We want to see substance, at play, not the kind of rhetorics and abuses that we see, by way of exchanges between our politicians. And we need to understand, even as followers, that politicians are interesting people. Sometimes what you see them do, on the outside is completely different from what they do behind closed doors. So one would like to advise Nigerians to be very careful, with particularly leaders who make so much noise, whip up a lot of sentiments, and behind the closed doors, go to shake hands with those who are supposed to be, who are supposedly enemies. So politicians are interesting people. Nigerians and indeed their followers must learn to, chew carefully and not be carried away by the outward appearance of quarrels, or what appear to be quarrels between these political leaders.
Talking about what Nigeria wants, it's when you talk about, a lot of people will say, oh, we want to see them debate. Yeah. Some people even say we want to see them articulate what they have for the country. We want to see them tell us what they have for the country and so on. And the larger populace will tell you that, look, it is what they can give right now. I shared the experience of Kingsley Moghalu, you know, in his 2019 experience as he was going from one community or the other. Even Omoyele he said something to that anywhere you go to, the level of poverty, they will ask you, bring something.
Well, I think the political class, the voters reflect the character of the political class because they can't be different. When people get into power, what is most important to them is what they can benefit from, you know, that government. And when they are going from one place to the other, they don't go with manifestos, most of them, to say this
that's the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality. So they don't go there and say, look, this is our program on environment, this is our program on security, this is our program on livelihood, this is our program on agriculture.
Or a big catalog.
Yes.
That will be sharing.
This is what we want to do and all that. So they go from one community to the other with their vehicles loaded with money, rice, you know, and the first thing they do is to meet the traditional rulers, give money, give rice in the presence of kingmakers and chiefs and children, you know, women, you know, and the oloris and all that. So it is the way the political class has defined, you know, the political space. Because in a country where laws are respected, you don't need to bribe. We know that when people are poor, when you give them money, the temptation is there. But you don't need to exploit their situation.
The level of poverty.
You don't need to exploit their situation to now diminish their personality. So I think it is what the ruling class has brought to us that we are expecting. But if you ask the average Nigerian, even after collecting the rice, the bread and all that, they'll tell you, look, if I don't take this thing, you will not see them again. And that is the truth. So the leadership should set agenda in terms of ethics in politics. It's not the people that will just wake up one day and say, okay, we want to redefine the political system. So the people that we are voting for, they should allow the laws to be enforced. The laws against bribery, against vote stuffing, against rigging. But once they don't allow that, you know, if you go to the US and start giving people $100 and there are no laws to sanction people will take the money. So I think it's the way we have defined the system that the people are. It's not the fault of the masses at all.
As we are moving towards that May, it's going to happen by the end of this month. PDP, APC, and all political parties are going to have their convention. Now, the leaders definitely, the people we call frontliners, are those with heavy war chests. And it is that war chests that is the confidence that wherever the delegate system, wherever the delegates are, the war chest will be deployed. That you don't expect somebody that hardly, you know, could barely eke out that 100 million naira and is talking to delegates one-on-one that, look, vote for me, don't sell your conscience. It's going to be all about the war chest.
That is correct, Ayo. Sadly, money has come to define our politics over the years, you know, and looking towards the primaries, you know, that would produce the presidential candidates. I don't expect anything less. And a whiff of what is going to happen is already, you know, at play when political parties put a price of 100 million naira to just, you know, forms. What do you expect? And I listened to the party chairman try to defend that, you know, that it will help them, you know, generate revenue to run the party, keep those who are not very serious away from, you know, contesting for positions and all that. But the fact of the matter is that it's a reality we have to face. It wouldn't be the first time, you know, past, you know, primaries, you know, of this nature also were defined by resources. We all got to hear about, you know, what happened somewhere in Rivers State and all that, and how money was exchanging hands. So, and that is why, you know, those who are party delegates are looking forward to, you know, the primaries, because it is their season, you know, as it were. So, but you ask, should we convene like this? Absolutely no. We just must find a way to downplay, you know, the influence of money in our polity, because it's almost like a cash and carry thing. So you and I, who are, you know, not as you know, as privileged, you know, can't seem to have a say in this entire process, and it shouldn't be so. We have to find a way to downplay, you know, the influence of money in our body politic.
Okay, let me pick my first call. Paul is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for staying with us, Paul. Hello, Paul. Hello, Paul. Paul, are you there?
Looks like we lost him.
Okay, I don't think Paul is
Hello?
ready.
Hello?
Yes, Paul.
Hello? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Thank you for joining us.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Paul. Go ahead. You're live.
Hello? I should go ahead.
Just
Okay,
go
you can
ahead,
hear
please.
me?
Yes.
Yes. This forthcoming election to 2023 will be a decisive moment for the whole Nigeria. Yeah, I said this forthcoming election 2023 will be a decisive moment for the whole country. Both PDP and APC, they should give all the candidates a level playing field, either direct primary or whichever primary they choose to do. They should not impose any candidate on either of the party. They should allow them come out with their manifesto, because we are tired of all this thing that is going on. The majority of the masses are really suffering. Both the PDP members and the APC members, everybody is suffering.
For the PDP
you can't
now,
go to market
when you look at it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
They suspended the zoning system, and just for the purpose of this election. So it's a kind of all-comers affairs.
Yeah.
How do you see it panning out?
Well, I think it's going to be a very tough race, and it's going to, it's a very desperate situation. We can understand the suspension of zoning by PDP, because the last president of the country, PDP president presented by the PDP, came from the south, Goodluck Jonathan. So if they now say, okay, let everybody go to the field, we can understand that. Okay, people from the north can contest and all that. What is difficult to understand is that of the APC. But I think, let me also admit that after listening to some aspirants in PDP, I think there is a kind of hope, especially when you listen to people like Peter Obi, talking about cost, reducing the cost of government, But in our country, your quality may not necessarily determine whether you are going to win an election or not. That's another thing.